Hey everyone, it's Trevor Daly with MagMod. Hey, I am so excited. We are back doing these How I Shot It. Super excited because today I get to introduce you to Jessie and Dallin. Jessie and Dallin, how are you guys doing?
We're great.
We're great.
So guys, why don't we quickly just tell everyone a little bit about yourselves. I already hinted that you're up in Utah, but maybe share with them where you're at, where they can find you on the web and Instagram, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So we are located in Layton, Utah, which is just north of Salt Lake, about 30 minutes north of Salt Lake. And we have been doing photography for about, 6 years now?
6 years.
Together?
Yeah.
So Jessie's been shooting a lot longer than I have. She actually started with our wedding photographer. And then from there, right after we had our first son, Jessie was a school teacher, and then we decided to just kind of start doing our own thing and stop. And she was stopped doing photography with our wedding photographer. So
yeah.
And that's when you guys started doing it together, is that right?
Yeah, and that's when we started doing it together.
Yeah. So 6 years isn't a ton of time. So how quickly did you get into the off-camera flash and incorporating light and stuff like that?
That's a really good question. When was it? We always thought, even since when we first started, we recognized, we were like, oh my goodness, if we knew how to use flash, our lives would be so much easier. Weddings would be just better, right? Yeah. For our couples. So that was kind of a goal from the beginning. And I think it was
pretty fast.
It was pretty fast. It was probably like year two. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So it's probably about 5 years ago or something. Yeah. Started digging into SLR Lounge and Pi Jersa, and that's how we got our foot in the door with flash and learned, honestly, a ton of what we know.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Pi is an amazing instructor. He's not only a good friend, but he's an amazing instructor. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see, but we actually have had him do some recent videos on our YouTube channel as well. In fact, this How I Shot It will probably be bookend by one video by Pi and another video by Pi. So how fun that you guys learned from him, and literally you're going to be, sandwiched between two Pi videos on MagMod.
Yeah, awesome.
Kind of cool, right? Well, I want to show people your website because we're talking a little bit about your work, but I mean, your website is just absolutely incredible. I have it up right now. I'm kind of going through the slideshow here of just some of the photos in the beginning. So it's just Jessie and Dallin. You guys will have to go check it out, jessieanddallin.com. It's absolutely beautiful. I even loved how this cloud image. Oh my goodness. I know you guys can't see what I'm looking at, but it's incredible. So good. And then I want to show everyone your Instagram as well, which is Jessie and Dallin as well. So Jessie and Dallin is their handle. So go check that out. You guys can go see all their images there. Some really, really beautiful stuff. You guys are involved though in the, what do you call it? The Rising Tide? Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So we're Rising Tide leaders out here in Utah. Northern Utah. There's a couple other chapters south of us, but like Salt Lake North, we're the leaders for that right now. Basically, if you haven't heard of Rising Tide, it's basically just helping other businesses out. I mean, there's a lot of photographers in our chapter right now, but I mean, there's lots of other creatives and entrepreneurs and everything
in the wedding industry and out of the wedding industry. And I mean, the whole goal of Rising Tide is that everyone comes together and it's community over competition. So we all lift each other, and it just helps everything in the community grow and be better.
I love that.
Help be better and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I think that's kind of a good segue into what these interviews are all about, these How I Shot It. It's because really, ultimately, it's just an opportunity for me to talk to some of the world's best photographers, at least in my eyes, the world's best photographers, and just kind of get some tips and little tricks and things that they're doing kind of to see how they're creating the images that we all just look at and go, what the heck, that's amazing. So maybe if you guys are okay with it, can we jump right into that first image and kind of start talking about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So this first image that I have up is it looks like the one of those landscapes in Utah that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is the Salt Flats out in I guess almost the very edge.
It's right next to Wendover.
Yeah, western Utah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of just a unique thing. A lot of Utah photographers will go out there just because it's almost otherworldly out there.
Yeah, it's a destination. Like we have like couples come from all over the world or different states, and it's like one of the spots everyone wants to go to or just even experience.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm actually, it's kind of funny. My degree is actually in mechanical and aerospace engineering. I'm actually a huge space nerd. Like growing up, I still am like huge into NASA. I mean, I've got a Lego Saturn V in the other room, right? Like I love space. And so we've been talking about doing some kind of an astro shoot out there for a while, right? And we really wanted to do one. I think this was actually the first real astro shoot we ever did.
This was the first one ever.
Yeah. So this was kind of a test shoot for us to just kind of see, like, play around with some stuff and just get used to shooting with the stars and everything like that. We were trying to think of a way, like we'd seen pictures and done a lot of research of the salt flats and pictures, and we noticed that nobody really like emphasized like the texture in the salt, right?
Yeah.
Like we thought that like that's the coolest part about the salt flats are those ridges and like the little like the way the water settles and the salt settles, it creates like these big ridges around like a circular pattern all over the place, right? So we were talking about it. We were trying to figure out like, okay, how would we like show that a little bit better?
Yeah.
And we were like, what if we did a backlight? What if we did like an environmental backlight to really like emphasize like how tall they are and get all those shadows coming through and everything like that. And so that was kind of how it started. And then we actually were like, that would be awesome because it would make it look like they were on the moon, right?
Yeah,
like they would look like craters and everything like that. So that's kind of where this whole thing started was just that kind of inspiration and going out there and trying it out. So
that's cool. So what was it just one flash behind them then?
Two.
Okay.
So
two.
there's one right behind, I believe, the girl with a grid on.
Okay.
And it's pointed at the guy because he's got a white shirt on. So we're trying to shoot it right at his chest to kind of bloom a little bit of light onto him and everything like that. And also to nice backlight too. And then we were with Pi, we actually learned this from Pi in one of his courses that he did with lighting. I think it was like lighting 301 or 401 or 4, whatever.
Lighting 3.
Whatever those ones
Probably
were, the later
3.
ones that he did.
Yeah.
He talked about environmental backlights. And we remember that one of the things he said is that the biggest mistake that people have is they don't make that backlight go far enough. So I picked up that light and I went far out in the middle of like the dark, just walked like, I don't know, maybe probably the limit of how far those flashes communicate, I bet.
Wow.
I remember we tested it. We're like, can it still read, right?
Oh yeah. And as Jessie was testing it, it was right in my face too. So it like blinded me. So, but yeah, we were trying to just light up as much as the ground as we possibly could. So we just pushed that light as far back as we could. And we had plenty of room to do it. So yeah.
But that's what makes this shot, I think. And it's funny because I didn't even realize it until you said that. But what makes this shot so different than so many other shots is that light that you took so far back there. That's why, in fact, when you said two flashes, I'm like, I wonder how two flashes they must. So basically, they're in the same place. They're behind the couple. One's just close, creating that nice rim light, and the other one's further back, essentially lighting up the environment to get those shadows and the ridges and everything else on the ground, right?
Yeah, and I think we actually pointed the flash down too, right?
It was pointed a little bit, at least down.
It wasn't pointed up. We pointed it kind of down to try to highlight the ground right there to make it like the moon, right?
Yeah.
So
that's cool. That's cool. And so, and I see it looks like cars streaking by in the background. Is that right?
Yeah. Good eye.
Yeah. So that's the freeway right there.
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember what you had to like setting wise? Like, were you shooting at like 16 seconds or like how do you remember what you were shooting at?
I mean, it was pretty low. I think if I had to guess, I think it was probably about 3-4 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
sounds about right around that.
I think it was like 5
I mean, it could have been 5.
It was less than 10 though, for sure.
Yeah, for sure less than 10.
That's cool.
we you can kind of like, again, because you can kind of see how long that would have been if it is the freeway, so they're going pretty fast in the background.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then in the behind the scenes, we kind of show. It looks like Dallin. Looks like you're actually talking to the couple or setting up a light. Was there anything in particular in this behind the scenes that, or was it just kind of to kind of show what the setup was look like?
I say almost just to show like what it really looks like out there. It's otherworldly at night, and there's no one out there.
It's kind of eerie because there's no like bushes or anything for like the wind to hit. Like
there's
it's
nothing.
Super quiet, and it's like it's just weird.
Yeah. You know what's important though for people to notice is when you're looking for those shots where you're showing off, you know, the galaxies and, you know, the stars and all that kind of stuff, you need to get into a place where you don't have that light pollution as well, you know, from the city. And so otherwise you will see it becomes this kind of like light haze, you know, that so it's important to find yourself. So I think even in the behind the scenes, you can just see how dark and, you know, just away from the city it was. So good stuff.
And that's a good point too, because like Windover is not that far away, but it is completely like at a 90-degree angle from us. So we weren't shooting into the light pollution; we were shooting away from it, and there's nothing in that direction really. So give us better sky. So
that's cool. Very cool. Good stuff. All right, tell us about this second image, which is these incredible mountains. Like, I want to go to this place. This is insane.
I wonder if you've been there, Trevor. That's Mount Timpanogas.
I was just there, actually.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were out with this couple, and actually Jessie saw this tree as we were, like, the sunset was coming. It was actually a pretty cool sunset.
It was. So, and I was going to say, I think to preface it, in our experience, I mean, being in Utah with the mountains are like their own challenge with creativity on a whole different level, because oftentimes, like, they're so big, they block the sky. Yeah. So silhouetting is difficult. Like, thinking outside the box is hard. So we were really trying to push it when we were with this couple to try to find something that would be a little bit different, a little bit creative, and thinking this was inspired a lot by Two Man.
Yeah.
And so with the double flash that you're going to see on here. But yeah, just trying to think like outside the box, where could we go? And we saw like there was this bush, this tree that the couple standing in front of, and it was just located perfectly in a spot where it's like, okay, I think we could see Mount Timpanogas still in the background and get a few layers going.
That's cool. Yeah. I love that. So tell me about this double flash that you're talking about.
Sure. So we've got one right behind the couple. So that one, I believe we were saying was a full CTO.
Yeah, I think it's
right behind the couple.
Okay.
So and that's silhouetting them. And then we had a shot where we just saw that. And I was like, man, I wonder if we could do something else. Like, can we level this up a little bit more? And there was all this grass right in front of me while I was taking the shot. And I thought, okay, let's do an Erica and Lanny and let's light up the grass.
Yeah.
So that's what came from it.
So I'm standing just off the side and I'm shooting right at the grass with it just in my hand. So
you know, it's okay. So what's interesting about this, you guys, is that when I saw that and when you mentioned the double flashes, that was at that moment when I said, oh, it's the grass, you know, and I asked the question because I was kind of curious if I was going to get it right or not, but it didn't dawn on me when I first looked at the photograph. And it's those funny little things just like that, just adding that little extra flash that literally take your photo from an ordinary photo to an extraordinary photo. But oftentimes we don't even notice it. It's just like subconsciously we're like, what makes this photograph so awesome? And if that had just bled into darkness there, I don't think it would have been quite as cool as you using that double flash. You know, I don't know. It's so cool. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it was a good find by Jessie. She was just like, oh,
I know. It's like,
we need the grass.
It's here. Use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. You know, I find oftentimes, like if there's one tip, if people were to say, you know, if they're getting into flash photography and they're like, you know, what's one tip? I would say just find a way to use a second flash in your shot, whether it be a rim light or something. It seems like that second flash just makes your photos look so much better. and I love the use of using it in the foreground. I've seen Scott Josway, Landy and Erica. I've seen a lot of people do that where they use it in the foreground. I need to do more of it. So that's awesome. Cool stuff. Very, very cool. Did you use any kind of modifier on the grass in front, or was it just bare flash?
The one in the front, I don't think we did. The one on the back, I think we had a sphere on the one on the back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the deal on the sphere behind them.
Because I was just sitting. We may have used a grid.
It might have been a grid. Like, it's pretty controlled as well, so I don't remember for sure if it was grid or not on the front.
Beautiful. Dallin, you look really good in the behind the scenes too, just kind of hanging out.
Jesse's joke was that there's so many pictures of us, like with me.
There's so many pictures of him behind the scenes. It's like all
Dallin's like, Jesse, you get it behind the scenes? I'm here behind the scenes.
right.
No, that's awesome. What about this next image? Tell us about this one at the Egyptian Theater.
Yeah, so this couple was really awesome. They're really into theater. She taught theater.
Yeah, they both have a theater background. They both went to school for theater. Like
they're
everything.
obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
they decided they were going to have their wedding at the Egyptian Theater, and they actually scripted their wedding. So their wedding was a play.
Like the entire thing they wrote. So they wrote the lines, like the script, and then they wrote songs, like lyrics to go with songs.
Yeah, their vows were a song, like a musical number.
Wow, that's cool.
So they got their names on the marquee, right?
I saw that. That's so cool. So in order to do this, now obviously, car lights will go kind of streaking by. So did you shoot this multiple times and then kind of layer it to grab the lights that you were looking for?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So the lights you see on the ground, those are, it was probably 6, 7 altogether. I just layered them up in one image.
Yeah. Now, Jesse, when you do that, do you typically use a tripod, or do you normally just try to find something to stabilize yourself with?
This one, no. So if it's on a wedding day, we probably wouldn't have a tripod. This one, we didn't. So I remember I was remembering what I heard from Pi. Again, it's always Pi. Anyway.
We'll have to make sure Pi sees this.
So breathing, right? And standing really still. And it worked.
Yeah. Oftentimes, I'll find something to kind of put my camera on, kind of lean in. Yeah, no breathing, hold my breath, and then press it. Yeah. But the key is, for those who have never done this before, you got to make sure that you slow your shutter speed down to like 1 second or 2 seconds, or maybe a half second, but something to get those car lights, and then hold really still so that you can layer those pictures on top of each other, and then grab the lights that look the best. That's so cool. And then tell us about, I have the behind the scenes up here. What looks like you have the MagBox or something there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we got the MagBox, and then behind them, I think it was just bare flash, but I believe they were both CTO'd. At least like maybe a quarter CTO.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it. We think it was probably a quarter CTO on both of them.
I think if we were to redo the shot again, we probably would grid the back though, because there is a little bit of light spillage around them. Like there's kind of that cone of light around them on that picture. So we were kind of talking about it, and I don't know. I kind
of like it though. It kind of gives me this like a little bit of a vignette sort of light that really draws my attention even more. So just to get this right though, you said you had 2 lights behind them and then the MagBox, so 3 lights total?
Two lights. So one light behind them and then the MagBox,
Yep,
Got it. Okay. Again, it's like we were saying, just the 2 lights make such a difference, because you get that nice cool rim light, you get the shadow coming forward, just so many cool things.
Well, and you can also see, if you look just to the right of them, there's actually a window that we didn't realize was there until after. But we wouldn't have. You can see a reflection in on the window just to the right of them, and that's because we had that backlight on them too, because it was reflecting off of them to the right of them too. So anyway,
they must have been so happy with photos, like this that you guys captured, being that this was a big part of their wedding. Having this theater and play and everything else, and then you guys captured an incredible shot like this. That must have been exciting for them. So
yeah, this is one of their number 1 shots they wanted.
It was
in front of the marquee. So
it was a good one. It was a good memory for us too.
Yeah,
that's cool. Speaking of good shots, you guys, tell us about this one with this solitary tree out in the desert or something. This looks cool.
Yeah, so this is at Little Sahara in central Utah. We were just doing a bunch of stuff right before sunset, and started doing some astro stuff. We saw there's just this random tree out in the middle of nowhere.
It's the solo tree. And when we were scouting Little Sahara beforehand, we found the tree and we are like, okay, I think that's going to be a part of this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So we're just trying to figure out how to use it because we're like, it's such a cool thing. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's just this tree. It's almost like a little oasis, right? Like in the middle of a desert. And so like, it'd be awesome if we lit up the tree. And so we actually we got a flash and just pointed it straight up at it to light it up, to make it kind of look like this little like glowing, I don't know, orb, I guess you'd say.
Make the tree cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I think the one on the back was bare because you can see it's blue. And I'm pretty sure we were using, so there's actually 2 flashes on the couple. We did what Pi calls the Hollywood 2 light, where you do like, you kind of crisscross on the back to light up each other. So there's actually like one flash like right behind the tree pointed at him, and then there's one flash to the left pointed at her, and they both have grids on them to make sure that we don't get too much light spillage coming into the camera and everything like that.
And we think they had a gel on as well.
Yeah.
Get that, so a grid plus a gel.
Yep.
So on this one, you guys did use 3 flashes in, right? One at the tree, 2 at the couple. And then you called it Hollywood Crosslight or Hollywood Backlight or something? Is that what you said?
Hollywood 2 light is what
Hollywood 2 light?
We wish we would have had I think we had a 24-70 here. We wish that we would have had a prime. Or did we have a prime for this one?
This one was a prime.
This one was a prime.
The salt flats one was the 24-70.
This was right after the salt flats. So we'd learned our lesson. We got a prime that had a lower aperture so we could make the shutter a little bit longer, so we could lower like ISO and everything. So
that's cool. We also have a behind the scenes video here. I'm going to play it. I love it. Jessie, I got to say, you're making me nervous. You're shooting on like a tiny sliver of a red battery right there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm like,
Like, the thing you can see when you look back, you're like, oh, yeah, I bet I had to change my battery right after that.
You're going to make photographers all over the world nervous.
Living on the edge.
And then what's up with this shot with all the sand in the bag? Tell me about that.
We just learned the hard way that when you shoot with sand, it's like what Anakin says in Star Wars. It gets everywhere. And we I think we had to take our our 8200s apart and like blow out sand. I think even to now, like the on-off switch is a little gritty and stuff. You know? But
so that's the
we probably would be like using plastic bags and stuff if we would go back there, just because it was so bad.
It was such a challenge. I mean, and these are like sand dunes, so I don't know if you've ever walked in sand dunes before. Yeah. It is crazy.
It's a workout.
It is a workout. Yeah, you feel it on your calves and stuff. Beach photographers everywhere, like, you guys begin. Yeah.
Sure.
No, it's so true though. You do not want to play in sand with your camera gear. Absolutely not. So. Hey guys, this next shot, we have one here of, it looks like an exit. And I love this one because we've done quite a few sparkler exit shots on how I shot it. But this one is a little bit different and unique, and I see some colors and things going on. So tell us about what you did here. And it looks like maybe you went with a slower shutter speed, to kind of capture things. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this couple, they didn't use sparklers. They wanted to use they were like light up tambourines or something like that.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to kind of do some cool stuff with like shutter drag and stuff. So we used a longer shutter speed on here, but again, we didn't have a tripod with us.
It was probably about 2 seconds, if I were to guess.
Yeah.
With that probably 2 second shutter.
So we had to tell the couple to hold really, really still, and then we told the crowd to go crazy so that we get lots of
super crazy,
all this stuff. But it was kind of funny too because you can see the little lines from like his jacket.
Yeah.
We think what happened, because it was only on this shot, we think what happened is Jessie was took a picture and then kind of moved a little bit as she took it, and so she got all these just lines just from his jacket.
Like the sequins on his jacket.
Yeah. So we thought it was kind of cool because these guys changed for the reception. They changed into these really cool party sort of dance outfits and stuff from their wedding outfit. Anyway, so we thought it was cool. It kind of highlighted it because it was kind of funny. So anyway,
No, it looks really cool. So what was, because I see there's one flash behind them. So I'm looking at the behind the scenes now, and I see you have one flash on kind of on a tripod or a light stand there. What was lighting them from front?
Yeah, so we've got the MagBox, just the 24-inch, the smaller
Okay.
one. I think we had the focus diffuser on there too.
Yeah, so we've figured out that the focus diffuser with the 24 is like perfect amount for exits. It doesn't spill too much. It kind of gives a little bit of a tunnel, but also a soft light.
And then when we do exits too, we found we used to do it where like I would hold the flash and be like on the backside of one of the
Groups of guests.
the groups of guests on one of the lines, and I would just try to follow. But I would miss a couple so much because it's hard to see like between the gaps and everything like that if they're stopped or going, and I might keep going, and then all of a sudden they're stopped and like, oh shoot, So what we do instead is I put that flash really high so we get some direction from that light still, so it's not just a flat flash.
Yeah.
And I point it down so it kind of does like a butterfly light on the couple, and then I can aim it way better. And then I just stand right behind Jessie and just kind of back up, and if she's moving too fast, I'll just put my hand out and just kind of ease her back with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's way more accurate. We don't miss as many shots because I just barely miss the couple where one of their arms is up and it's putting this awful flat like shadow on the other person's face or whatever.
Yeah, so it's our go-to for exits now, and it's like flawless. We love it. I don't think we could ever go back.
No.
That's awesome, because that's one of those setups where people get nervous about. It's like, oh man, I got this one shot. They're coming out. I got to figure it out. And so I think what you're doing, getting that safe direction of light, but then raising it up to create some dimension and some shadows and things like that, I think is a great idea. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
And then you said you're walking back with her, right?
Yeah, so I usually am a little bit, maybe a few feet behind her, but I mean, sometimes she comes right back into me too, and I'm right there, kind of hold her back right there, and just kind of put a hand on her back to make sure she knows I'm right there and she doesn't run into me. So,
but see, what's great about that is then you're keeping your distance, your light to subject distance, the same, or relatively the same, as opposed to just setting it up at the very end. I think it's better to do it that way and have your assistant, controlling the light, as opposed to the two of you shooting. And then that way you can just, get that really consistent light looking every single time. You can have some fun with people, I think it's great. So love that, you guys.
Yeah.
Super good stuff. I'm seeing a theme in a lot of your photographs, and we're going to see it in this next one that pops up as well, which is, it looks like this couple on the stage. The theme that I'm seeing is that you guys use a lot of rim light. Do you notice that? Is that kind of like your go-to, kind of like, putting lights behind people?
Yeah, I think the ones that we find more interesting have that on there.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like it really does. It's if we want them to pop off of the scene, like our couple just to pop, then we will.
And I want all my couples to pop off.
we do a good mix of both, though. I feel like, but I think the ones that we like the most are usually the rim light.
Yeah, I think so.
That's probably why
it's that two flash thing.
I know. I'm telling you. If you're a beginner and you're watching this and you're an expert and you're like, I need to do something different, just try to add a second flash. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So tell us about this shot then. It looks like this was another. Is this the same couple that was at the theater?
Yeah. Same.
Cool.
Yeah, so same story, they're really like they're in the theater and everything. We wanted to make it look really cinematic. So, I mean, obviously, like this was our go-to, right? Like that Hollywood 2 light sort of just to highlight them and we wanted to look like two spotlights from like this that were there, like for their stage lighting. We're actually lighting them. So we just put two flashes off on the side and shot into the crowd. So we're standing up on stage shooting into the seats. So
your flares are like perfect, just right there on the edges. Did you have to kind of shoot this numerous times or move your flash a little bit, or like how did you get that so it was so perfect? Do you recall, or was it just luck, or?
Remember?
I remember.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jesse did a lot of direction with me, like just move that a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Like I was just on one, and then I would just like it was really helpful for me to be right there, so that she just very just tweak it just a little bit.
And I think what's interesting about it is again, if people are watching this and they're like want to emulate or do something like this, you almost want those flashes so they're not in your frame, but just a little bit of light comes. It's like a sliver of light, right? And it comes across the frame. But that is so cool, guys. So all you did here was just the 2 lights in the back. Is that it?
Yeah, and they each had a grid on them too to help out with that light control, so they weren't just really overwhelming in the back too.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
That was, I think, what helped with the control of the lights. It's just putting them on the edge so they didn't like really flare, but there was just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And were you by a wall or anything that the light was bouncing off of and illuminating on the front side?
No.
No.
The ground is really reflective because it's that
Yeah.
nice glossy surface of the stage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They might have had like stage lights on them on the back, like
Maybe.
on the front.
I mean, because you have the behind the scenes right there too.
Yeah,
right?
you can see all the light that's on them from the stage.
Anything that was coming on front was just natural fill.
Yeah.
Probably bouncing off the stage floor.
And oftentimes there's little things again that stand out in photographs that I think just make kind of like that grass that was lit up in the front last time. This one, what stands out to me that I think really helps make this photograph as well is those lights in the back, those 6 lights, up in the top. Now, granted, those aren't lights that you guys set up. They're probably just the stage lights, I'm guessing. But it just, the fact that you framed it to include those, it adds this extra value to the photograph. It's like that, it's like I wouldn't have been able to set this up, but I don't know, you're in this really cool place, you're showing off the lights, and it helps so much. It looks so cool. Love it.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Good stuff, you guys. And then in the behind the scenes, I noticed, Dallin, what are you doing with your fingers?
You should tell them this.
I'm
This is
telling
my
them,
favorite.
I'm telling them how to do a kiss when they're posing. So
We call it the giggle kiss.
yeah. So I'm telling them I'm using sock puppets with my hands to show them how to like laugh and then kiss and then laugh and then kiss and laugh and kiss.
Got it. That's cool. I like that. Well, tell us about this next photograph. This beautiful sunset, mountain, lake, grass, has everything. Love it.
Yeah. So this is right above Bountiful in Utah.
In North Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Salt Lake,
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah. So there's just like kind of a bench area up there that just gets like the coolest sunsets, right?
Yeah.
Whenever there's a cool sunset, like this is the place to be. Whenever we go up here, like it will be packed, right? There'll be tons of people here. But as soon as that sun starts going down, there's nobody. Like everybody leaves because they either don't have an assistant with them to hold a flash because it gets kind of windy up there, or whatever it may be. But like we're usually like the only people up there as soon as that sun starts to go down. So it's just kind of funny.
It's awesome because we get the sunsets all to ourselves.
Yeah.
I've experienced this in Arizona too. Some of the best places, top of South Mountain. Yeah, everybody takes off right after the sun sets, and it's like, and then the sky turns this color, and everybody's gone. All the photographers are gone, and I'll point it out to my clients. I'll say, "Oh man, these photographers are leaving. They're gonna miss the best part," and get all excited. So that's awesome.
Same thing.
Oh yeah.
So how did you like this one then?
So one of our favorite things to use for like just a classic sunset shot like this is the big mag box, the 42-inch guy.
Yeah.
So we use that, and then we put the grid on the I think it's the grid, the thing that goes on the front of the big guy.
Yeah.
And I just walked with the couple. And just
walking.
That we put the grid on there because it kind of helps with light control, so it doesn't look like there's this big spotlight around them as they're walking. And yeah, it's just super soft light, and it highlights the sunset really well, and just makes it.
Mm-hmm. And there's not like the spill. If you look on the behind the scenes, is like barely anything on the grass. That's easily fixed in Lightroom.
Good stuff, you guys. All right, this next shot. Tell us about this one. It looks like I see 2 behind the scenes as well. Maybe you shot it with 2 different modifiers. So tell us what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so this was kind of like typically this kind of a shot, just like the last one, right? Like our go-to would be a MagBox. Like that's our go-to. We want that bigger light source just to get a little bit softer light. But in this case, it didn't really work very well just because it was too bright on them. It was too spotlighty.
It was spilling, right?
Yeah,
like we couldn't control it. Like if you see it in the first behind the scenes, it's spilling all over the pillars of the building and stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, oh man, like we need something to control the light better, right?
Yeah.
It was just all over the place. Too much to clean up in post. So then we took that off and we put just a grid on, and that was it.
It was funny. That's what did it for it. So,
and sometimes when you know that you have to take out something later on, it's also easier just to use something with a smaller footprint, just to be able to get rid of it. So makes sense as well. So you ended up just using the 8200 with a grid, is that right?
Yeah, I think that was it.
I think so. It might have a Ford CTO on it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it probably does.
It very well could.
I love that, you guys. So cool. And lastly, tell us about this image. This is one of those shots where, again, it makes people nervous when a couple's asked for it. In fact, I just had a couple ask for this same exact shot about a month ago. Makes you a little nervous. You got one shot at it. So how do you guys nail this? Tell us about it.
Well, our first tip that we learned just asking friends and stuff is to have them bring 2 bottles of champagne.
That's so true.
You gotta have a backup.
That's so true. So true.
And this was our first time we've ever done that. I mean, like being from Utah and stuff, we don't get very many champagne shots and stuff.
So we were really excited when our couple was like, let's do it.
Yeah. So this is actually the same spot as that other the one with the green grass with the sunset and everything like that, because this couple wanted a sunset picture with them doing the champagne. And then it's really cool too, because this was even later in the night, right? Like, so there was nobody, like the parking lot was empty. Like nobody was even just leaving. We were the only ones there. And it was awesome. It turned out great. Like we got one flash to camera right, I believe.
Yeah, camera right, and it's between 40, 45 and 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Maybe like 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just to light up the couple. So that pointed right at the couple, as well as a little bit of backlight on that champagne too. I think we got a little bit, like maybe the ones that are like way farther down got some of the champagne right there. But then we put a backlight behind the couple so that it could hit all of the champagne too, to really light them up and make them pop and everything like that too. Yeah. So, but
excellent. I love it. And the thing that's important here to point out, I think, as well, is that this is probably 30 minutes after sunset, 25 minutes after sunset.
Yeah.
I
bet it is.
Yeah. They usually call that hour where you got the last bit of orange and the blue kind of taking over the sky. The civil twilight, kind of comes in, and so again, it's one of my favorite times to shoot with flash, because you get that a little bit of color in the sky, or the last bit of color, and gosh, it looks so good.
I think with this one too, because I was sprinting to the car to get something. I don't remember what it was, but we had forgot something and left it in the car.
And
I was sprinting.
No, it was bug spray.
Oh, that's what it was.
Because all the bugs were out. Don had to run and grab the bug spray.
I sprinted, and they were going crazy, and they couldn't hold. Like the couple was just like,
really
eating us.
I sprinted to the car and came back, and that's why it was a little bit later too, is because it took so long for everything to get set up.
It worked out though.
It worked
really
great.
Well. And I was gonna say my favorite part about it is Salt Lake's in the background.
Yeah, with all the lights around.
So that was kind of fun.
But I think we used a sphere on camera right.
Yeah, I think it was a grid and sphere on camera right.
Yeah.
And then it was just.
I think it was just.
Yeah, it might have been a grid behind
because
them.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more control on.
That's awesome. I love how when you guys talk and you kind of work through things, you kind of like, I think that's kind of what, like, do you guys find when you work together and you're planning shots and stuff, do you kind of just like bounce ideas off each other and like,
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
I was say it's a blessing and a curse because the work never stops. Because we're always talking about it.
That's true. Well, you guys, it has been a pleasure having you on the show and getting to know you a little bit better and hearing about some of your techniques and creating these amazing shots. Seriously appreciate both of you guys spending this time with me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for asking us.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this show, be sure to subscribe to the MagMod channel. We got lots of videos like this. Plus, Jessie and Dallin gave Pi lots of shout outs. We actually have some videos. We love Pi and all the things that he's doing with lighting. So we have partnered with him and doing some videos for the MagMod channel as well. So be sure to check those out, which I'm sure you can find popping up or in the playlist. And stay tuned because we got more of these How I Shots coming up as well. So Jessie and Dallin, thank you again. You guys rock. Appreciate it. Everyone go check them out on their website, jessieanddallin.com, and their Instagram, Jessie and Dallin. All right. Cool. Thank you again, you guys. Appreciate it.